Welcome to the Small Business Breakthrough Series, where each week we're going to dive into talk and discuss with small businesses that help small businesses. At the Business Breakthrough Series, we are all about helping small businesses break through their ceilings of growth. And this week we have brought on a specialty that does creative and sales marketing. From Savage Global Marketing, I'd like to welcome the founder and CEO, Christopher Savage. How are you doing, Christopher?
Very good. How about yourself?
Excellent. We're going to sales and market. We'll get into a little bit of creative sales and marketing in the conversation. But first off, can you give us a snapshot of what your business does and what the major outcomes you get for your clients are?
Absolutely. So since 2014, February 14th, for the love of marketing, right, on Valentine's Day, we opened up Savage Global Marketing, and we really kind of help businesses and brands unlock their full potential. Now, we do that through offering a various amount of services such as advertising, social media, website design, and creative. Primarily, what we do differently than most, though, is our pricing is laid out very kind of clear cards on the table. So as you see it, we have deployed hours, let's just say, or resources and creativity to fast moving teams to help them kind of get ahead. And it's been extremely successful and extremely different model from what you're used to, because most marketing retainers, you're a little bit unsure of what you're getting. But with us, there's transparency, kind of trackable hours. Everything is really shown and the details kind of prove itself.
It's a very interesting take on it. Can you dive into a little bit about describing who your services work best for?
Our services work best for fast moving teams. I would say we're savages when it comes to follow up and really getting things done. So, in the industry, if you're a company that's just starting out, really haven't had any active ads online or haven't dabbled into, social media posting, content creation, we're probably not going to be the best fit. But if you're a company that already is kind of like on that highway moving and coasting, but you're looking to scale, we're your team. Because for us, again, when you're looking at trying to get stuff done in marketing, a lot of it comes down to, approvals. And a lot of the smaller businesses or startups that don't have the funding, there's a lot of look for perfection, right? And in our case, we believe perfection is the enemy of profit. So when you're a small company, it ends up taking, at least, someone from our company, a lot more resources, a lot more time, and a lot more delays. So that's really why we don't specialize with those markets. But think like, small, mid-size enterprise level businesses are really a great fit for us. We've worked with, everything from companies doing $5 and $10 million a year to brands like Coinbase and Carlyle Group, which are 60 and $70 billion equity investment groups.
Yeah, that makes a great, interesting approach to how to go through it because, if you listen to the sharks in Shark Tank, it's all about move fast and break things. But it's not, there's a caveat that gets added on that a lot of people don't get in our current day and age, which is it's move fast, break things. Okay, what broke, fix it, go again, right? So it's the continuous of the loop. It's not just a matter of just mass destruction. So, what would you say sets your business or approach apart from others in your space?
100% the transparency aspect. So, I mean, I would tell you there's 233,000 agencies, I believe, out there. If I'm not mistaken, there's 15 so thousand that do over $1 million a year in revenue. And out of those, I would tell you that you could probably list less than a handful that have pricing out there. So as you see a lot of the big firms, they're having a lot of large layoffs, a lot of big companies are moving to smaller teams. So that's really where, we come in. So to give you an example, like Smuckers, I believe it was recently was in Ad Week because they had let go of, like a BBDO or a gigantic firm and ended up moving with an outlet that had 6 people. And the reason they're doing this is they're looking for, more transparency, more creativity, or more like on demand and care about what they're doing. And like you said, less the rinse and repeat model, but more so, let something happen, watch what happens, and then improve, refresh, and come back again for another round. And that's where a lot of these small outlets are, providing that, which you would think in most cases wouldn't have the resources to do so. Incorrect. That's where, it's different. So for us, having not only the ability to move quickly like an Amazon, but have the ability to show you really where your dollars are going in your marketing budget is unheard of.
That is very transparency is always a way down the road of success. And sounds like you've really come into a good point into what it is. And it's kind of interesting because you bring up a little bit about the decentralization of the industries a little bit. We're not going to dive into that today, but I'm going to put a pin in that one for a later content. Hey, real quick, did you know that most small businesses don't actually achieve their breakthrough? And it's not because you don't care. It's all because you're trying to do it alone. That's why I created the Momentum Community, is to help you change that. I want to see you achieve the breakthrough that you've been waiting for. It's where we committed entrepreneurs come and get focused, get accountable, and finally build a business and life that you are meant for. If you want to learn more, click the link in the description below and enjoy the rest of the episode. What would you say the biggest challenges your industry face right now, and how are you tackling it for your clients?
The biggest challenge I would probably say is there's a lot of saturation of, marketing out there. And when I say that, it's not just the marketing agencies, but people or companies or brands trying to market. And one of the biggest challenges is going back to that perfection is the enemy. A lot of people are taking things too critically and they're spending too much time, on like one little pinhole when they could just be rolling it out and kind of seeing what happens with it and then reevaluating, reestablishing, improving, and, coming back. And that's a big, big challenge in the industry right now. So to give you an example, we've seen websites, that would be given a 2 to 3 month timeline that have taken 24 months. So I'm not saying that that's an issue, but let's just think lost opportunity or opportunity cost or value there. Just look at, that 18-month timeline or that 20-month delay that they had just because they were looking for perfect, when in reality, we could have had the site online, 20 months ago and then tested it, a dozen times over that course of time.
Yeah, the iterative approach of being able to go through and create iterations, lather, rinse, check, and repeat. Right. So it's a new process to it all. So it sounds like you're really serving your clients well. What would you say it would be the biggest challenges you're going to run into, or how do you see the field evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
Over the next 5 to 10 years, there's probably going to become another, let's just say, earthquake like COVID, where a bunch of agencies started folding, a bunch of big outlets started buying up. Because what I think is happening, it's interesting, is you have a lot of agencies coming into the space, with limited resources and limited ideas, and it's causing conflict because it's giving people too many options. So, it's like the idea of, everyone knows a realtor, like your uncle, your brother, your friend, whatever. The same issues are running into the marketing agency space now. So, if you've ever heard of, my niece can do it, it's one of my favorite ones, because every time I see that happen, it ends up turning into just a sunken ship because you're relying on family members, to get a job done effectively, when in reality, they always tell you don't do, business with friends or family. There's a reason for that. So that's where, like, if you want to get a job done, you have to hire the experts. But unfortunately, a lot of people have to kind of run that course first. And what I mean by that is, like, they test drive that car, realize that it's going to sink or crash into a wall. And then, they're really pissy and frustrated when they have to like hire an outlet or a firm. And then at that point, I like to make the joke, instead of starting at like ground level, you're starting at like 6 feet under in a casket. And now we're supposed to get you back to ground level and then plant the flower and then start budding it, when we could have just started from ground level if you would have contacted us to do it right the first time. So something I always grew up on, and my father said, was, why is there always enough time to do it right, but never enough time to do it over? And that's kind of the mentality there.
Yeah, that is a very interesting way to look at that, especially as we start to see. I can say about every day on threads that you're watching somebody be like, "I'm out," and they're really saying they're shutting down. Some of them use that as a "I'm out," and they're trying to just a marketing ploy of get you to click on their link, and then they're like, "Oh well, no, actually, this is the different things I'm doing," which is a
Billie Jean, Billie Jean,
interesting play, to go the lack of transparency inside of that message alone, right? Um, as they're going for it. Well, Chris, we've got to learn a lot about Christopher. Sorry, we get to learn a lot about you and your business. Let's learn a little bit more about just you. How about we go into the lightning round?
let's do it. You're gonna
Okay.
strike me?
Uh, no, we're gonna keep that for Mother Nature's. That's Mother Nature's call. I don't have that kind of power. We'll say, how about coffee or tea?
Coffee all day.
Coffee all day. There you go. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
If you could grab only one weapon or item during a zombie apocalypse, what would it be?
The Walking Dead bat with all the nails and all the crazy stuff on it.
The Walking Dead bat. There you go. How about a favorite quote or phrase that you think about often?
Hmm. Probably the whys are never enough time to do it right, but always enough time to do it over.
There you
Because
go.
these days I feel like it needs to be said.
Yeah. Favorite movie or streaming series that you love?
Succession.
Okay. One book that has influenced your life the most.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay. Some Robert Kiyosaki in there. Biggest obstacle you have had to overcome and one lesson that you learned from it.
Not setting expectations and watching what a disaster can occur. With we've had big clients in the beginning that we probably shouldn't have had, and we didn't set the expectations that they were looking for, and it imploded on ourselves. And now I look back and say, I'm sorry, to all those brands that I know we didn't do anything disruptive, but we didn't meet the mark. And nowadays, for those big companies, we can meet the mark because we set those expectations early on, and especially with the model, it keeps things transparent.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a really big one. Setting expectations, delivering on the customer promise, creating a great customer experience are critical to continued and lasting success, no matter what business or industry you're in. Christopher, it has been fantastic to have you on the show today. How can our viewers and listeners be able to get a hold of you if they want to collaborate with Savage Marketing?
I would say if you want to connect with me personally, Instagram is C Savage Run, just with the letter C, like C Spot Run, but instead C Savage Run. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, where I'm a bit more active, I would say. And for our company, you can follow us at Savage Global Marketing across the board. We have everything from LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, educational series, content, commercials, everything.
It has been great to hear your perspective on the industry and what you do special for your clients today, Christopher. And guests, you heard it. You can hear him on social media. All of that information will be in the show notes below or the description if you're watching this on YouTube. Until next time.